Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 15, text number 23. Yastu shruta hata bhagaindrubhiratta saras tam stan kshipantya sharaneshu tamas suhanta yanna prajantya gabidho rachananuvadat shrinvanti yenya vishayaku katha matigni. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. It is very much regrettable that unfortunate people do not discuss the description of the Vaikuntha planets, but engage in topics which are unworthy to hear and which bewilder one's intelligence. Those who give up the topics of Vaikuntha and take to talk of the material world are thrown into the darkest region of ignorance. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. The most unfortunate persons are the impersonalists who cannot understand the transcendental variegatedness of the spiritual world. They are afraid to talk about the beauty of the Vaikuntha planets because they think that variegatedness must be material. Such impersonalists think that the spiritual world is completely void, or in other words, that there is no variegatedness. This mentality is described here as kukatha matignihi, intelligence bewildered by unworthy words. The philosophies of voidness and of the impersonal situation of the spiritual world are condemned here because they bewilder one's intelligence. How can the impersonalist and the void philosopher think of this material world which is full of variegatedness and then say that there is no variegatedness in the spiritual world? It is said that this material world is the perverted reflection of the spiritual world. So unless there is variegatedness in the spiritual world, how can there be temporary variegatedness in the material world? That one can transcend this material world does not imply that there is no transcendental variegatedness. Here in the Bhagavatam, in this verse particularly, it is stressed that people who try to discuss and understand the real spiritual nature of the spiritual sky and the Vaikunthas are fortunate. The variegatedness of the Vaikuntha planets is described in relation to the transcendental pastimes of the Lord. But instead of trying to understand the spiritual abode and the spiritual activities of the Lord, people are more interested in politics and economic developments. They hold many conventions, meetings and discussions to solve the problems of this worldly situation where they can remain for only a few years. But they are not interested in understanding the spiritual situation of the Vaikuntha world. If they are at all fortunate, they become interested in going back home, back to Godhead. But unless they understand the spiritual world, they rot in this material darkness continuously. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. Yanna prajantya gabidho rachananuvadat shrinvanti ye anya vishaya kukatha matignihi yastu shruta hata bhagair drubiratha saras tam sthan kshipantya sharaneshu tamassuhanta. We have been seeing here Lord Brahma describing the Vaikuntha situation. What is the spiritual world like? Who are the residents? And what do they do? What are their physical characteristics? What is their emotional characteristic? All of that Lord Brahma has been describing in the last more than 20 verses. And in today's verse, or very soon, Lord Brahma will describe who has the qualifications to go to that spiritual world. And before that, in this verse, today's verse, he is describing who does not have the qualification to go to the spiritual world. Very soon he is going to tell us what is the qualification of people who can go to that wonderful world. Now in this verse he says, Yanna vrajanti. Oh, it's gone. Can we keep the verse on? He is describing navrajanti, one who cannot approach the Vaikuntha world. Yat navrajanti agabhidho rachananuvada. Agha means inauspicious, sinful. Bidha means bhidyate, hridaya granthis, chidyate, sarva samshaya. Remember that verse? Bidha means to vanquish. So agabhidha, one who vanquishes sins. It's another name for Krishna. So agabhidha, of the vanquisher of all kinds of sins. Rachana anuvadat. Rachana, that Supreme Lord's creation, referring to Vaikuntha. Anuvadat, descriptions about. Na shrunvanti, those who do not hear about the Vaikuntha world, which is the creation of the Supreme Lord Krishna, who destroys all sins. Yanna brajantyagabidho rachanaanuvadat shrunvanti. And instead what do they do? Anya vishaya shrunvanti. They listen to other things. They are busy listening to many other things other than agabidho rachanaanuvadat. And such descriptions of anya vishaya, that is known as kukatha. Katha means descriptions. Kukatha, the word ku is used, it's a prefix to mean something which indicates deterioration, something that indicates deficiency, something wanting. So kukatha, bad words. And Prabhupada later on in the purport he says unworthy words. Like suyoga means when there is a conjunction of constellations in a very favorable and auspicious way. That's called suyoga. And the opposite of that is kuyoga, means conjunction which is resulting in great inauspiciousness. So in the same way, kukatha, not very good words. Anya vishaya kukatha, they listen to those things. And as a result, matignihi, mati is intelligence, consciousness. Gna means to destroy. It destroys their intelligence. Matigni, it destroys their consciousness, bewilders their consciousness. That verse, Pashugna, killers of animals. They cannot understand the Supreme Lord's narrations. Say, Matigni. Shrunvanti ye anya vishaya kukatha matigni. Yastu shruta hatha bhagair. Such people are very unfortunate. Hatha bhagaihi. Nrubihi, such human beings, attasaras, and the very value of life, human life, sara, atta, it takes away. Such hearing takes away. tam sthan kshipanti, and such persons are thrown, kshipanti, asharaneshu, without any shelter, tamassu, into dense darkness. Hanta, alas, so unfortunate they are. So this is what Lord Brahma is expressing in this verse. So in other words, who cannot navrajanti, those who don't hear about Krishna's description of Krishna's spiritual world, instead hear about Anya Vishaya, which is actually kukatha, which is actually unworthy words, and matigni, which bewilders their consciousness, their intelligence, and they are truly unfortunate hearing such thing. Hatha bagain rubi athasaras, which takes away the real essence of their life, the real value of their life. And such people, tham stam kshipanti, they are thrown, asharaneshu, without shelter, tamassu hanta. Alas, this is the fate of those people. So, here, this is the description of Lord Brahma, and he is saying, such hearing, he is describing kukatha. It has two effects. One effect is that matigni, it bewilders their intelligence. Hearing this anya katha bewilders their intelligence, and attasaras, and takes away the real value of human existence. These are the two defects, or the two results of kukatha, matigni, attasaras. Once there was an interview with Srila Prabhupada of some very renowned international magazine. And so the devotees had brought this reporter. And then they brought one of the issues of that magazine, and they showed that to Srila Prabhupada. And then very soon, Prabhupada didn't see much of it, and then the reporter came. And then Prabhupada had a conversation with him, and Prabhupada, as usual, he delivered the message of the spiritual world, and that person was very inquisitive. He heard, made notes, and then carried an article in that very well-known magazine. And after that, once again, the devotees were keeping that magazine, and Prabhupada leafed through the magazine. He saw the magazine for some time, and then he pushed it aside in the corner of the table, and he said, one should avoid reading these magazines. It's very dangerous. The way this magazine it is described, it is made to appear that this material world is real. You see? This is exactly what Prabhupada is reflecting, what the Lord Brahma is describing here. These magazines, these materialistic books, they are so written, they are written in such a way, it will appear that this material world is all real, and they are really sincere, working very hard, they are solving the problems of the world, they are just there, they are very soon going to solve all the problems and make a paradise for all of us in this world. You see, and reading that, people will get bewildered. Matignihi. So this is the kind of descriptions that happen in this material world, and that is why, as devotees, we are warned about reading all these materialistic newspapers. Isn't it? We avoid reading all these different materialistic newspapers. And that's an important value in our Krishna consciousness culture. And where is this value that Srila Prabhupada imparted about these kind of magazines and reading those magazines? Where is it coming from? It's coming from the verses of the Srimad Bhagavatam. Just see how carefully Srila Prabhupada has given us the spiritual life based on the different instructions given in the Vedic literature. Here Lord Brahma is saying, those who read this kind of literatures, whose mind and intelligence becomes bewildered, and they lose the real essence of life. Such people, navrajanti, cannot enter, cannot approach the spiritual world. Just see how carefully Srila Prabhupada has crafted, has designed what we should do and what we should not do, keeping the aim in mind that we should go to the spiritual world. So carefully, every single thing that Srila Prabhupada has taught, you can find a correspondence, you can find it in the words of the Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the beauty of Srila Prabhupada's presentation. Recently, I was talking to one intelligent person, very intelligent person. I was talking to him about, telling something about Krishna consciousness. And then he asked one question. He said, Prabhuji, sometime back I saw one film in Hindi, a Hindi film he was referring to. He said, that film was all about God-men and how they cheat people. You already know, I guess, which film he's talking about. It's a very famous film sometime back. And then he said, and then the film showed about how people are God-men, are cheating and all of that. And then in the end, the conclusion of the film was that actually you don't have to go to any temple, any of those things. You have to do good work. You should do good work, and that is the most important thing, and you don't have to go to these temples. And so this person asked, Prabhuji, is that so? Is it Krishna's message that we don't have to go to the temples? So I told him, no, Krishna's message is that we should go to the temple. Krishna says we should go at least 3 times every day to the temple. If possible, you should live in the temple. You just see how people are misled. All these modern films, it is another kukatha. It's another kind of a description, all using technology and all of those things. And matigni. People get bewildered about seeing all these things. It is not true that we don't have to go to the temple. Why did the acharyas establish so many temples? Why did the acharyas create a system of worship in the temples? Why did the acharyas create festivals and different other activities for people to come to a temple? It was not essential. So these acharyas are not intelligent, and this modern man who has made this film, he's a very brilliant guy. He figured out all these things are not essential. Just see how wrongly things are being represented. Very unfortunate. And common people see all these films and say, oh yes, why go to the temple? So a few intellectuals get bewildered. Still large number of people come to our temple. That's the beauty of our culture in India. Large number of people still go to the temples. Although modern day such propaganda is going on, and people are, we cannot deny, getting bewildered. Matigni. Kukatha matigni. Sometime back, recently we were discussing, we were planning in one meeting, Vijay Dashami is coming. So we were planning, we should also do something just like we do in our Mysore temple and many other temples. In North India it's more common. They have this big Ravan Dahan. So that we were also thinking and discussing in one meeting. And then, so one devotee sent me, Prabhu, there is one Hindi film, and there is a very nice section, very interestingly they show. And he sent me that last, a small part of it, some 3-4 minutes video. So I was watching this video. I don't know how old this film is, maybe 1 or 2 or 3 years old film. In the film, they are showing Sita in the Ashokavan. You know how she is tormented by Ravan? She is imprisoned there. And this actress who is playing the role of Sita, and she is lamenting, Ram, where are you? Ram, when will you come? Like Sita was in Ashokavan, feeling the separation of the Lord. Right? And then there are a lot of common people watching this dance going on of Sita in, and then Ravana comes there, and then he's trying to, be aggressive, and then Sita is avoiding, and all of those kind of things going on. And she is praying, where is Ram? And so on. And in the audience, the hero of the film is also sitting there. They show that. And then when Sita is saying, Ram, where are you, Ram? Suddenly, the hero gets up and goes away. So, but still, anyway, Sita is still calling out, Ram, where are you? I think so. I mean, from my understanding, I could make out. And then suddenly, the hero starts singing from the audience. Ram, where is Ram? Where is Ram? Ram is in my heart. Ram is in your heart. Ram is in everyone's house. Where Ravan has been removed, there Ram is. You know, that kind of a thing. And then after a little bit, and everyone is clapping and this and that, and then again and then the drama continues like that. So the point here is, this is another metaphorical interpretation that modern people come up with about Ramayana. Just like they tell about Kurukshetra war, Kauravas and Pandavas, it's a clash within our heart and those kind of things. In the same way, you see, at one level, this understanding that you have to remove Ravan in your heart and then Ram will come and stay in your heart has some relevance, no doubt about it. But that's not the only relevance. When they say these things, what they are meaning is, there is no such thing as Ram, there is no such thing as Ravan. These are all just story. The real thing is, you must remove the dirty things in your heart, then Ram will come. That's the important thing. So you should be a good person in your life. Actually, no, Ram is a personality, is a supreme person. Sita is his consort, internal energy. These are all real things. It's not just some imaginary stories. So these kind of, they give a metaphorical interpretation because they bring out a mundane moral principle out of it. Mundane moral principle means, I'll just take 1 or 2 extra minutes. Mundane moral principle means principles of morality, good and bad, without any reference or recognition of God. Even materialists like that. Materialists like that because moral principles are essential in this world in order to conduct their life of sense gratification. That's why they appreciate morality. They want good and bad things to be understood, people to be good, so that there is goodness in this world, so that they can continue with their acts of sense gratification. That is why they appreciate morality. Not beyond that. Because it facilitates enjoyment and their plans for enjoying in this material world. Not for any other reason. Not for any higher reason to understand the absolute truth. They have no interest in all of those things. That is our objection. So, morality based on Krishna conscious principles, by becoming a devotee, that has real value. Not mundane morality which is removed from, disconnected from any recognition, any understanding of Krishna spiritual truth. That is not very valuable. Whereas in modern day, in the form of films and such things, they want to really, what they are saying is, don't give too much importance to Ram, all these things, and then go to your Ram temple. All those things are not essential. Remove Ravan from your heart. Ram will be there. So this is the kind of an interpretation that they present. And all of these are simply different forms of kukatha matigni. It simply bewilders the intelligence of the living entities. Actually, in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta, Prabhupada is referring to here in the purport. I'll just take maybe extra few minutes. Kukatha matigni, Prabhupada is pointing out, this is an important Siddhanta of the Gaudiya Vaishnavas. Materialistic conditioned souls who come into this material world, they come up with 3 responses to their material experience. That is described, Prabhupada describes here, and also Prabhupada points out in the Bhagavad Gita. The one response they come up with because of the material experience. What is the material experience? This is the material world. And there are senses, we all have senses, and there are objects of senses. And there is an attraction for the objects of senses. And then there are emotions, and there are personalities, and then there are emotions and relationships connected with this, and there is a lot of sense gratification opportunity. So the first response of the conditioned soul is attachment to this material world. That's called raga, ragatmaka response. So one response of the conditioned soul is to become attached to this material world. The second experience, the second response the living entities, conditioned souls, provide to this experience in the material world is that when they try to enjoy the material world, you cannot deny, delivers miseries and a lot of miseries. That's also part of the conditioned soul's experience. So they see that, yes, this material world is attractive and I try to enjoy, but then there is suffering. Old age comes, disease comes, somebody you like and that person dies, or something else happens, bitterness comes. So they realize that there is suffering in this world. That's also part of the material experience. You cannot deny that. So then the living entities come up with another kind of a response. So I want to enjoy, but look at this material world. This variegatedness that I was seeing, I was getting attracted to. It started giving me misery. So they develop a kind of a fear for all material existence of variegatedness. And they come up with an understanding that, no, I don't want. All this material world, full of varieties, looks attractive. Don't get carried away. It simply gives you misery. If you want to be free from miseries, come out of this material existence, which is free from all variegatedness. And they come up with a theory that anything that is spiritual should be without variegatedness. This response is actually because of fear of variegatedness, material variegatedness. They came across variegatedness in the material field, and it delivered them miseries. And so they are after happiness. And so they come to the conclusion that no, anything spiritual that I should pursue should be free from material variegatedness. Should not have any emotions. There should be free, it should be free from activities. And so they come up with a conception of impersonalism. That's actually because of bhaya, bhayanaka. So the first one was because of raga. Let's enjoy the material world. Let's renounce the material world and look for an impersonal realization because of bhaya of the material variegatedness. There's a third kind of a response the living entities come up with. When they are trying to enjoy the material world, there is misery. And then they try to practice this kind of impersonalism, there is misery there also all along the path. And then they come across so many other philosophies. Different philosophers come up with different ideas. When they come across all these things, they become completely confused and they develop a certain kind of an anger. What's all this? You try to enjoy, there is misery. Try to negate all these things, there is misery. And this person has one understanding, they have another understanding. He's another brilliant philosopher, he has one understanding. What's the truth? Forget it. None of these truths will have anything. I can't find any conclusion from all these things. They develop a kind of an anger. And because of that anger, they'll come to the conclusion, everything is void. This is also not true. Spirituality is also not true. Everything is void. There's no truth at all. It is simply void. That's the conclusion of the void philosophers. Because of krodha, anger. And that is why Krishna describes in the Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, Vita raga bhaya krodha. Those who have given up, vita means to give up. Vita raga bhaya krodha. Given up attachment, fear and anger. Those who have given up all these three things and the responses because of these things, manmaya, and those who have become absorbed in me, mamupashritaha, and taken shelter of me, bahavo jnana tapasa, and many such people, by jnana and tapasa, puta, they became purified. They became purified of attachment, they became purified of bhaya, and they became purified of krodha. And madbhavam agataha, they developed love for me, bhava bhakti, and they came to me, agataha. They attained madbhavam. So this is the understanding. This is what Srila Prabhupada points out in the purport. One level of understanding of Vita Raga Bhaya Krodha is one who has become free from attachment, fear of dark things and such things in the material world, something like that. Krodha, who has controlled his anger. That's one level of understanding. But another reading, another understanding which Vaishnava Acharyas point out is that Raga Bhaya Krodha. I'll just read this small portion of the purport. Therefore, people in general keep this as described above. It is very difficult for a person who is too materially affected to understand the personal nature of the Supreme Absolute Truth. Generally, people who are attached to the bodily conception of life are so absorbed in materialism that it is almost impossible for them to understand that there is a transcendental body which is imperishable, full of knowledge and eternally blissful. This is the raga stage. In the materialistic concept, the body is perishable, full of ignorance and completely miserable. Therefore, people in general keep the same bodily idea in mind when they are informed of the personal form of the Lord. For such materialistic men, the form of the gigantic material manifestation is supreme. Consequently, they consider the Supreme to be impersonal. And because they are too materially absorbed, the conception of retaining the personality after liberation from matter frightens them. Bhaya. It frightens them. When they are informed that spiritual life is also individual and personal, they become afraid of becoming persons again. Oh, I'll remain a person again after liberation. And so they naturally prefer a kind of merging into the impersonal void. Generally, they compare the living entities to the bubbles of the ocean, which merge into the ocean. That is the highest perfection of spiritual existence attainable without individual personality. This is a kind of fearful stage of life, devoid of perfect knowledge of spiritual existence. Furthermore, next Prabhupada is saying, furthermore, there are many persons who cannot understand spiritual existence at all. Being embarrassed by so many theories and by contradictions of various types of philosophical speculation, they become disgusted or angry, krodha, and foolishly conclude that there is no supreme cause and that everything is ultimately void. Such people are in a diseased condition of life. So, Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy recognizes that these are all different kinds of contaminations and which come about in the material existence, and one has to become purified of all these three stages, manmaya, mamupashritaha, madbhavamagataha, and then come to Krishna. So this is the important thing. One last point is this kukatha matigni. Another thing that Vaishnavas, Gaudiya Vaishnava points out, and Srila Prabhupada emphasizes. Now, even if you take Hari Katha, Krishna Katha, not Anya Vishaya, even Hari Katha, even that one has to be careful about hearing that from a Vaishnava. Because if one does not hear from a Vaishnava, even Harikatha, which is purifying, one will get bewildered. That is why Padma Purana, Rupa Goswami points out from Padma Purana, Avaishnavod Girnam, Avaishnavod Mukhod Girnam, Puta Harikatamrutam. Harikatamrutam is Puta. Puta means purifying. But Avaishnavo Mukhod Girnam, the words coming from the mouth of a Avaishnava, Shravanam Naiva Kartavyam, don't hear, even though it is Harikatha, which is purifying Puta, when it is coming from Avi Aishnavo Mukhod Girnam, Hariputa Harikatha Amrutam, Shravanam Naiva Kartavyam. Why? Because it is Sarpochishta Payo Yataha. Sarpa Uchishta. Because it is like it has become poisonous, because it has been touched by, when milk, payaha is milk, when the serpent has touched it, it causes poisonous effect. Matigni happens. So that's another warning given in the Vedic literatures. So first of all, we should avoid Anya Vishaya, because they are all Kukatha. And even Harikatha, we have to hear from a devotee. These are the warnings. Otherwise, Matigni and Athasaras, we will lose the real essence of life. And these were all important things. And when Srila Prabhupada went to the Western countries, he saw all of these kind of manifestations. He saw materialism in a big way. And he saw even in these hippies who were coming, although they were trying to reject all those things, even they were bewildered with impersonal ideas and even void ideas. And that's why Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Many of his early followers of Srila Prabhupada, some of those devotees who were coming, one of the common thing was they were attracted to some kind of a meditation. They had heard about meditation. And they would come and talk to Srila Prabhupada, Swamiji at that time, Srila Prabhupada. And then they would say, we have learned that we have to meditate on the sounds of silence. That was the idea. There is a sound of silence. Silence means no sound, right? And so they were told, they would come and talk to Prabhupada. Swamiji, we are told that we have to meditate on the sound of silence. The sound created by the clapping of one hand. When one hand is clapping, you get a sound, you should meditate on that. These kind of ideas. And then they would say, Swamiji, we are told that we should go to the Himalayas and there we can elevate our consciousness. So there were many of them, young people. They were planning, Prabhupada was trying to convince them about Krishna consciousness. They were coming to him and then they would say, Swamiji, we have decided to go to Tibet. Why Tibet? Swamiji, we are told that we go there, it will elevate our consciousness. Then Swamiji said, you be here. You keep coming here, I will elevate your consciousness to a higher level than what Tibet can give you. So Prabhupada used to come across all these kind of ideas among these Westerners. So all of these were raga, bhaya, krodha, response of material experience of people. And Krishna consciousness is far higher than all of those things. We'll stop here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.